Continuing on with some of what I had said in my last video, we're starting to find that just like there are atheists that can believe in some type of God, uh, and atheists who can believe in ghosts, Bigfoot, the supernatural, UFOs, so on and so forth. We have liberals who are equally showing that they are only slightly different at times to Republicans. Thus, again, why I'm not anything. I don't like groups, period. The moment I started liking the Democrats, they started turning into something that I hated, and I still hate to this day. Though I hate the Republicans more, but I don't like either party. And then with the liberals and the libertarians and what I seem to be finding from my research of their stuff, they're no more realistic than any of these other groups. I'm sure I'm going to be flamed for that, to which I say, bring it. I really don't care. Liberals are also waging a war on science. Both sides eschew science when it suits them. Michael Schumer. Now, to be honest with you, I think this speaks more to human nature. This is like the theist versus anti-theist debate. You know, when you could put up as many atrocities on both sides as you want, but at the end of the day, human nature is what's to blame, not the belief in a God and devotion to a God versus the lack of a belief or a devotion to God. And then when you add in anti-personality disorders, compulsivity disorders, and all sorts of other things that can impact a person's normal behavior, you have something that has a more earthly rather than unearthly explanation on that side. It's something that both theists and anti-theists don't like to hear, since both sides like to think that they are above, in some cases, or higher than human nature. Spoiler alert, you're not. Same thing with liberals, Republicans, you name the spectrums. Everybody's susceptible to human nature. Some are more controlling about that, some are not so controlling about that. Some can handle their power well, others are absolutely consumed and corrupted by it. But to simply say, oh, liberals are like, do like the old racial jokes of the 80s, only with this, be like, liberals be all like this, whereas Republicans be all like that. Oh, that's right. Right? High five. Don't leave me hanging here. You know. And this isn't meant to be like that, but it is to say that you guys act as if you're on top of things. You're not being taken for a ride. You got the 411. You got the real knowledge, and it's us who live in this science-based world that are in a fantasy dream world because we're praying to Dawkins or whatever BS person you want to hold up as our secret deity, because being scientifically minded is apparently its own religion, despite the fact that there is no book, there is no doctrine, there isn't a deity. This doesn't fit religion, sorry. Conventional wisdom holds that Republicans, not Democrats, are waging a war on science. But there's a liberal war on science too, writes Michael Schumer in Scientific American. Yes, it's true that 58% of conservatives believe humans were created by God in the past 10,000 years, but 41% of liberals hold the same belief. Similarly, 51% of Republicans doubt the earth is heating up, but 19% of Democrats feel the exact same way. These numbers do not exactly bolster the common belief that liberals are people of the science books, Schumer writes. And there's more. Liberals tend to be against nuclear energy because of waste disposal issues. Hydroelectric energy. Dams and rivers interfere with ecosystems. Fossil fuels. Climate change. Wind power. Bird deaths. And then there's the fight against genetically modified foods. Even though GMOs are really the only way that we can feed the planet. Quote, the underlying current is everything natural is good and, quote, everything unnatural is bad. And see, that does carry a lot of weight when you take into account the story I just read from the activist who said, this felt unnatural to me, paraphrasing, of course, that I was scared of it because it seemed like it was messing with the basic building blocks of life. And I seriously, I can't 100% blame you for that. I can't blame you for continuing it, for not wanting to see it for what it is, like this activist who recently has stopped being a GMO activist and hater, and actually came into understanding that, whoa, there's actually science behind this. I'm not the one with my head on quite as straight as I thought I was. In other words, you guys are just as susceptible to fear-mongering and fear tactics as the people you're putting down. This is like Bionic Dance, for instance, a user here on YouTube who talks about the closed-minded, dogmatic, thinking on automatic theists, when she herself oftentimes displays that she is closed-minded, darn near dogmatic, and absolutely runs on automatic, which is ironic considering that is her go-to phrase. And when you go into her fan base, you will find people who will think on automatic as well. They won't question what their dear queen, Bionic Dance, had to say, and will parrot her stuff to death until you just give up out of frustration because there's nothing to do here. You'd have more of a chance at arguing with your nearest wall than you would with Bionic Dance or her fan base. That's why I unsubscribed to her, because she is what she hates the most. And in some ways, this article bolsters that idea that some of you liberals out there are exactly what you hate the most. You are that wall that you're so angry about. You are that wall that you rile against. You are part of your own system, except for you're on the other side of the fence, which means you think that your closed-mindedness is warranted, that your fears, your human nature, your biases are completely, totally, and utterly okay because you're the good guys. I hate to break your bubble here, but it doesn't work that way. Just as society tries to say this is morality, this is what it is, while basing it off of nothing other than at times fear. Fear of change, fear of new things, fear of technology, fear of you name it. People get afraid of the world of the future. They try to put the brakes on progress because they want to hold on to their world as long as they can. And I've spoken about this myself when talking about, I grew up with guns. I grew up with guns in my media, guns in my cartoons, guns in my movies. I grew up with video stores or video arcades, all that stuff. And most of it's gone, except for the gun thing, which is obviously pulling teeth. And yes, I want to hold on to my old world. I want my son to grow up in my same world, because my world wasn't so bad. We didn't have 9/11. We didn't have a world where we can't laugh at terrorism, where we take things way too seriously and we're extremely oversensitive about absolutely everything, or that absolutely everything is a conspiracy. Oh, I see one plane in the sky and it's got nothing behind it, and I see another plane in the sky that has something behind it. That must be chemtrails, and I know from my natural news that chemtrails are bad. And I know a lot of these people who I'm parodying in this video, this isn't going to change your mind. I'm not trying to sway you. I'm just trying to say that maybe you need to take an honest, introspective, and intellectually honest look in the mirror. Because if you're so angry, if you're so upset about your critics and how disingenuous they are, and they are at times disingenuous to you, maybe you are being disingenuous back, and how does that solve anything? What was it I think Gandhi had said? An eye for an eye leads to a blind world. Do we really want a blind world where, sure, things might be better, but how are we going to see it? How are we going to enjoy it after we're through gouging out each other's eyes?